this is Dread from Epic Builds. In today's video topic, we're going to be talking about my attempt at crit Warpath Forge Guard. So overall, I would say that this is a success as we do enough damage for endgame. We kill Orbis easily. We deal with the packs easily, like we deal with mobs easily. So overall, it's a success, but I do have a few issues with it. Mainly the issue is this is not going to be doing the most damage ever, obviously, as you can tell in the footage, but, you know, if you expect Sentinel to do high amounts of DPS, then you're kind of disillusioned. So we're going to move on from that. Another issue as well is I was not able to drop a Wings of Argentus for this build. Wings of Argentus would obviously be best in slot for this build. It would give you a lot of free DR, but like I said, I did not drop one, so you're seeing footage without Wings of Argentus, so imagine 40% reduced damage taken while in this footage. So another thing we're missing as well is I'm missing just a few damage idols. So I'm running 4 increased Warpath area idols and 4 increased HP idols in the build. So I'm not adding any damage with my idols, but there are idols that can get increased physical damage, increased Warpath area. If you went for those, you'd be doing a lot more damage because you'd have a lot more increased damage, because that's one of the things you're lacking with this build is increased damage. But yeah, that's pretty much all we're missing with this build. So why are we going Forge Guard? Well, back in the day, armor was bad, but they buffed armor and it's good again. Why that's important is because Forge Guard is reliant on armor as its main sole defense mechanism. So now the armor's good, it means Forge Guard is good again, pretty much, right? So another reason why we're going Forge Guard is we're going a two-hander. We're going a two-handed sword to benefit the 40% attack speed at the top of the skill tree, so that we can actually attack fast with Warpath. Feels amazing. So we're running a Zweihander. It is a melee two-handed weapon. It was added this patch. It gives you 100 melee flat with 15% physical pen, and it's on a two-handed sword base. So we're going focused on melee fizz, which is insane because, you weren't able to really do that much. And you also get the physical pen inside the paladin tree, so you get about 31% physical pen, not including the amulet. You can get up to like 40% physical pen, which is an insane amount, mind you. That's a lot of pen, which makes it so we can actually go with physical mainly. So like I said, this is done pretty well. This is a channel cost 7 Warpath. This was not possible last patch, but thanks to mana regen and reversal not being messed up, we can actually manage to run this, because there are some times where in between packs or in between boss fights where you're not actually attacking, and in those moments you can actually gain mana. So it pretty much balances out your channel costs. The only time you run out of mana is when you're going really hardcore on a boss. Like if you're like standing on them for more than like 10 seconds, you'll run out of mana. But all you have to do is just wait a few seconds and then get on the boss again, and then you have plenty of mana, which is actually kind of nice, because back in the day that was not a thing. Because to get this much mana regen that I have, you'd have to run mana regen everywhere, and it sucked. So now it's actually a lot better, because all I have is mana regen on the belt and the amulet, and I believe the relic. And that's not that much investment, and it pretty much makes it so we can run a 7 mana cost Warpath. We're also running the decreased channel cost node as well. Decreased channel cost helm. If you get to 25%, you can bring it down by another few points. I think it's bringing it down by 2 points. Then we also have the -3 mana cost relic. So it's actually base 12 mana cost, but we bring it all the way down to 7, which is highly manageable. With that being said, let's get into the game, shall we? Here we are in game with the build, Stimulus D's nuts. If you get the reference, obviously. So we are level 95. This is not a beginner build. This is more of a test. So the reason why we're 95 is because I actually enjoy playing this build, because Warpath fun. Also as well, you need to be at a very high amount of points so you can actually get the attack speed from Blade Master, and you actually get the attack speed from Molted by the Forge. So just a forewarning, So we're going to get into skills here. We do have a level 22 Warpath. So we are grabbing 4 points into Reckless Combatant. We are running a two-handed weapon, so we get 60% more damage from this. That means that we can grab Zweihander Wreck White, which is a large amount of our increased area. One of the main reasons why you go two-handed Warpath is for the increased area. Then 1 point travel into Void Spiral, 3 points travel into Apocalypse World. This is important though because we do need to time rot enemies to deal more damage. We have Abyssal Tempest. So in the footage, you'll see my damage be a little papega, but that's because Abyssal Tempest hasn't procced yet. So you deal 150% more damage versus time rotted enemies. And since we ideally attack 6 times per second, that's not too much of an issue, right? There you go. Now it's proc. Now they're time rotted. So we're doing like 20k when they're time rotted, right? Pretty good overall, especially with how little investment I actually put into this character. We take 2 points travel into Iron Reach, 3 points into Quicksilver Wind. For movement speed, I believe any Warpath build probably should be taking this movement speed as it makes you feel so much better. Then 2 points into Precise Spin. Why are we running Precise Spin? Well, you could technically take all these nodes out, all 5 of these, and grab the more damage here, or grab 1 more node here and 4 nodes here, or you could actually grab 5 nodes into Unchained if you don't want to deal with a high mana cost Warpath, if you really don't want to. And the reason why we're running Precise Spin is so that I could run this Zweihander. So I dropped this, and I was like, well, might as well run it, right? So we're running this Zweihander. I am missing armor shred, but the health on melee hit's fine, right? But we are missing shred armor on melee hit, but this is an almost perfect Zweihander. Almost perfect. Like, we don't need a higher chill chance than that, and like we need like T5 health on melee hit, but like I said, I'd rather have armor shred. The fizz percentage is rolled perfectly. The attack speed is almost rolled perfectly. The melee fizz is almost rolled perfectly. So we pretty much have our best in slot. Now you could run melee crit there and get rid of these nodes, but then that would mean that you wouldn't have that extra attack speed. And the reason I had that extra attack speed is so that we have a lot of attack speed, so that the build feels good. So as you can tell, we're at like 198% attack speed, which is actually insane with a Warpath build, because that means you're attacking 6 times per second. So like I said, you could take all 5 points of this out, put it into Unchained, get to almost 0 cost mana cost on Warpath, and be completely fine. So for other skills, we're running Lunge. The main important thing about Lunge is it's giving us 240% increased crit chance with Avenger's Charge and Initiative. It's very important as we need the crit. For other nodes, we have Reversal. So the main nodes in Reversal are going to be 2 points travel into Time Sap, so we can grab Time Loss Vitality so that our cooldown is significantly lowered. 3 points into Warp Time for the attack speed, because we really want that. 1 point travel into Terminal Void Rift, so we can grab 2 points into Food for the Worm. So our 150% more damage is based off time rotted enemies, and this helps us keep up time rot. 3 points travel into Dark Expanse. 3 points into Harbinger of Dust, so the enemy takes 30% increased damage, which is pretty much just a 30% more damage multiplier to our damage. We grab another Void Rift, and then we grab Traveler's Fatigue. Now, we also grab the catching up for movement speed. Now, you could, in theory, run 2 nodes into Ancient Reversal, which means you go back in 4 seconds, which will pretty much allow you to spin forever with Reversal, as it will keep up your mana, right? But like I said, with the mana regen, that wasn't really necessary, right? But you could do that if you're worried about the mana stuff. Now, for Smite, the most important part is just the 50% increased attack and cast speed. The main reason why I'm running Smite, which you don't technically need to run it now, by the way, if you get the attack speed at the top of the tree, like 100% is enough. You could actually run a different skill, like you could run mainly, where is it? Could probably run Ring of Shields for tankiness. Like, it doesn't really matter. There's not really much Forge Guard has access to, right? That's like the issue, is like, what else are you going to run? Holy Aura? You can't run that, right? So it's like, Smite's like, fine. You can also run a Smite on throwing attack use and run a Smite idle, and then run, instead of Smite on the bar, it will trigger automatically, and then you can actually run Jug Stance. for even more armor. Even more armor and reduce damage taken, but you're slower and deal less damage, so it's really up to you if you want to be a super chunk. Now for sigils, we're grabbing 5 points into powering sigils for the increased damage, 3 points into Decree of Flame for just whatever, because I had extra points and there's nothing else I could really grab. And we are scaling a little bit of fire damage, so this flat damage is nice. 1 point into Last Wish, so we don't have to cast our sigils during Monolith, except for bosses. 5 points in Iron Sigils. The main reason why we're running sigils is for the insane amount of flat armor boost. 5 points into Enduring Hope for the duration, so we don't have to keep putting up sigils all the time. Then 1 point into Tetragram, so we have 4 maximum sigils. And I believe that's pretty much it for the skills. It's pretty, self-explanatory. If you've seen me play Warpath before, you know how I play Warpath. Now for passives, we're running 8 points into Juggernaut to cap our reses a little bit and to grab Strength. Strength is actually good for this build because it increases our damage with Warpath and also increases our armor, which is very strong as that's our main defensive mechanic. 5 points into Overwhelm. The melee fizz is actually nice because we don't actually get that much melee fizz, and we have increased melee suntan, which is kind of important sometimes. 5 points in Armor Clad for less damage taken. 2 points into Relentless Travel, so we can grab 5 points into Axe Throw. I'll explain why we're running this in a second. And then 5 points into Blade Master for the increased attack speed for free, right? Then for Void Knight, we grab 5 points to Devouring Blade, so we can get access to Volatile Reversal. I am taking 2 points into World Eater. That's all the leech we need because we do plenty of damage. Then for Paladin, we take 8 points into Conviction. Since we're all doing physical damage, we're getting a lot of physical pen from this, which is insane. 7 points in Defiance, mainly because I'm using it to cap my res, barely. I don't have the best of gear, obviously, but this was made in a few days, so forgive me. Then 8 points into Weapons Master gives us Strength, which gives us increased armor, which is important, increased melee damage as well on top of that. 1 point travel into Fresh from the Forge, 1 point travel from Pelt Blast, so we can grab Shield Breaker. So your throwing attacks cost more mana, which doesn't matter because we're not self-casting any throwing attacks, but it also gives us Fizz Shred stacks. Why that's important is because we're running Axe Thrower. So this is why our single target damage does not lack. Like, we have really good single target, we just don't have good, clear, damage as much. Because you have to wait for Time Rot to go on, and then, you have to wait for that every single time, which is a little annoying, but that's why you attack 6 times per second, right? It makes the Time Rot chance a lot easier to deal with. And then we were going to run Hammer and Anvil, but I did not have enough damage for it. Do not run Hammer and Anvil with this build or you'll have 0 damage. Grabbing 6 points into Guardian for the health flat. 6 points into Crushing Blows because we're running the increased mana regen. We don't really care about the increased damage, we just care about the increased mana regen. So we're at 13 mana regen. You can get a little bit higher and be completely fine with Warpath. 1 point into Iron Reflexes. The main reason we're doing that is because we're running a dodge potion belt. Yeah, as you can tell, the tier 2 mana regen. So that when we pop a potion, we get about 375 flat. You can get up to 500 flat if you have a tier 5 belt. My gear is garbage. I know it's garbage. 4 points into Might. You can probably max this out now when you get to 100 for increased health and strength, very strong. 5 points into Infinite Bulwark for increased armor on potion use, which makes the dodge rating on potion use with this even stronger. 4 points travel into Duelist for the melee critical strike chance. 5 points travel into Lethal Strikes for the melee critical strike multiplier. We are currently sitting about at 227. This brings us up to 270%. You can get a little bit more crit multi if you just got lucky with the rolls. I did not get crit multi on this. If you got crit multi on this relic, you would be at pretty much 300%, which is plenty. And then 8 points into Molded by the Forge for the increased melee attack speed with a 2-handed sword. This is the main reason why we're running with a 2-handed sword. Now, if you're running a Lucerne, you could run the increased melee damage. If you're running dual wielding, you wouldn't have to actually run this node at all. And this node here would actually give you all the attack speed you'd want, but then you take 15% increased damage, and who wants to do that, right? But if you run Argentis, it's not as bad, but really, who wants to dual wield, right? When you can have the gigantic AoE when you're, two-handing. So that's pretty much it for the passives. Now for the gearing. Idols. The idols were actually buffed this patch for this build. So we're running 4 increased Warpath area. This could be better, but I went for Time Rot because we want Time Rot because that increases our damage. 20% increased Warpath area. So slow chance with Void skills. That's how we're getting our slow chance. This is a Void skill because of that one node, Void Spiral. So this counts as a Void skill, which is kind of funny. More increased Warpath area and more increased Warpath area. You could obviously get increased physical damage with these, and you do completely fine on damage. Like, look at that area. It's huge, isn't it? And then we're running 4 hybrid health idols, which is very strong. I believe it's giving us like close to like 300 health. Ignore that. That's the ice cream truck. I do not want ice cream. All right, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the idols. Now for gearing, for the helmet, we're running reduced channel costs. You need it to be up to 25% or it will not minus the 2 mana cost. So we're at 7, right? And we're at 9. You cannot get -3 unless if you have an exalted rolled channel cost helm. So good luck with that. We're running it on the crit avoid base, obviously. Now, instead of that strength, you could run melee fizz while wielding a sword and get a lot more flat. I don't know if the strength is better or if that's better, so I haven't really done the math on that. Now and then, of course, increased health and endurance because you want, endurance percentage and all that for the weapon. So if you're not running this setup, where I'm specifically running precise spin to grab the movement speed and stuff, and you're grabbing like Unchained, you will have to run a melee crit sword instead of melee attack speed. I'm running also a melee fizz, chance to chill and hit. Now, obviously, like I said, the 21 health on melee hit, that could be armor shred, and we get insane amount of fizz pen with Zweihanders, right? Insane, right? The fact that I even have damage, considering I'm ignoring all the other flat on the tree, I'm ignoring all the flat here, right? We could grab all this flat, but, I wanted to see if we could do fizz damage, which was very strong, ironically. And then for the chest, I'm missing HP on this chest. You could obviously run Argentus, but if you just want to do Monoliths, like you probably just want a Solarum plate. Now that Vitality could be melee flat if wielding a sword. That could be very strong. That would give you a lot of flat. That's actually one of the issues with this build is a lack of flat. So we're at like 147 flat, and that could bring us up almost close to 200 if you had melee flat here and melee flat here, which would be about kind of like a 30% more damage boost if you got melee flat here and melee flat here, right? The ring's physical strength, this is like almost our perfect ring with health. I'm actually using it to cap my res because, like I said, my gear is garbage. This is good. You just need increased health and then better mana regen, like better rolls, and you'd be at 15 mana regen per second, and you would have plenty of mana regen. Like I said, boop, 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 boop. Very nice, right? Then for the other ring, we're running an ivory ring with crit chance and strength. Physical, you could run strength instead if you have enough crit. I'm just running some reses to cap my reses. We actually don't need this physical res, it's just the ring rolled like this. Then for the gloves, literally perfect pair. The only thing I could say is you could run attack speed, but I have plenty. Literally perfect pair of gloves. Absolutely beautiful pair of gloves, by the way. For the boots, we're just running, we're missing like strength roll. We're missing just some hybrid health. Like this could be better. I'm just running it, I believe, because it caps my cold res. Yes, it does. And then in Scribe Tablet, we are missing a little bit of rolls on mana regen as well. Like I said, we'd have even more mana regen if it didn't fracture. I'm running it to cap my void res. And we also running some crit chance. That could be crit multi instead. And then for the amulet, Fizz Pen, crit multi, frailty, HP is absolutely perfect. Too bad it didn't roll a little bit better on the HP, but that's completely fine. But this is like absolutely perfect amulet, what you'd want. And that's pretty much it for gearing as well. And that's pretty much it for the character. Like I said, I'm a little sad that we couldn't manage a little bit more damage, but I believe if you went for melee fizz while wielding a sword, like I didn't, and run melee fizz while wielding a sword here, you could definitely get this to do a lot more damage. Now, with that being said, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you're at, and bye!